You say hi to everyone? Okay, give a thumbs up. And wave hi. Good job. That's actually really good. Okay, and hi. And what do you got today? Did you guys get all that today, Enna? Yeah? Is that what you and Hope are doing? Yeah, mommy always really likes stones. So I got the girls, they wanted to do beading, so I got them a little surprise on from Amazon there, I guess, and the whole kit and caboodles and stuff. And it's really cool. They got a whole bunch of stuff. They've got oops, sorry, Enna. They ended up getting a kit as well. Like, I mean, they got tons of beads. I mean, we were able to find a whole bunch for decent prices for them. So the girls are so ecstatic right now. Hope is like doing TikToks over it because she's so ecstatic, you know, like, and then we got a couple of these locally. So Enna and I's discussion today, we've talked about it, and I asked Enna that in order to talk about pneumatosis, I needed to show her residual bag. Yes, exactly. And the residual bag is basically your stomach, gastros, and stuff like that. So because Enna, we had to start putting a GJ tube. Was either you get a G tube, which goes straight into the right into the stomach and then feeds the stomach. So Enna ended up not being able to tolerate that due to pneumatosis over time. So we ended up taking that out and putting in a GJ, which goes into the small intestine. So we have to be more careful how we feed her and feed her more gradually and stuff like that. So she has to vent somewhere. Like, I mean, somewhere she has to vent all that stuff out, and her gastros and stuff like that, stuff that we normally absorb back into the body, is we have to re-infuse back into her body. So I don't know how to explain all that G2 part, but I'll let Hugo explain that part in just a bit because I'm not very good with explaining them. I'm good at handling the medical things and explaining what I need to explain in quick emergencies, but
I can touch base on that.
So what we'll do is we're going to show you Enna's gastro bag anyways, because the whole topic of pneumatosis, I will start explaining that later, but we thought we'd explain some of this. And Enna, she agreed to it. She doesn't like the fact that she has a scar on her stomach, so she said she's kind of shy about the scar, which I thought was really silly, but I said there's nothing to be shy about the scar. So we can explain more on how she's fed. So this is the gastro bag I'm talking about. So it comes through here, and here we go. You know, so when Enna's not feeling well or things like that, sometimes we can get different colors if she gets stressed, if it's being pulled too much. Right now we're getting a bit of a yellow, so it can show that she's having a bit of stress perhaps, or something's pulling somewhere, or she's uncomfortable, or she's got a gastrovirus coming. So here she has 2 surgery lines. So there's a surgery line across here and a quick incision here. So the one across was for the GJ insertion, I believe. And then we had a fundo application. And then we ended up having a surgery for emergency.
And for people who doesn't know what a fundal application is for try to control to throw up. Anna is not able to throw up because of that fundal application. It's meant for try to provide some aspiration.
Yeah.
In case, you know, you burp, and, you know, when you burp and you feel something come up. With children with spinal muscular atrophy, you have a risk of aspiration, then that is the reason why.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to show you have a clear fluid here, and that's what we normally like to see with Enna's fluids. As you see here, for some reason, Enna is showing a bright yellow, which shows that she has something upsetting her stomach at the moment, or she might be starting something, and that we have to start keeping an eye on her tummy. So I just wanted to quickly show that part of it, and Enna said that she agreed to that so that I could explain what we've been through on the whole aspect, my dog is starting to be like separation anxiety. The whole aspect of what we were through with pneumatosis for 2.5 years of what we dealt with as spinal muscular atrophy parents who had to face this issue. And really, there wasn't a lot of support for this, right? There wasn't a lot of help or advice. We didn't know what to do when we got swamped with this. It was a nightmare. So I do any spinal muscular atrophy parent or parent, because apparently this can be anybody's child. So this could be a healthy parent. This could be anybody. Like this could be, how did they explain this? Basically you could get a gastrovirus and this could happen to you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And, or you can get like a really bad stomach flu or just be vomiting really badly and end up with these air pockets in your intestines. So.
And it can have a lot of factor to maybe on Anna's case because she have quite a few reanimation procedures been done. She have one full cardiac arrest and a few partial cardiac arrest. It's when you are infants and your heart rates go not stop but go very low. Then they have to use a high pressure bagger, and we have see few times she has been bagged by emergency so many times her stomach was getting full of air, and that can have play on the hematosis. Definitely, then ventilation can affect that as well.
Yeah, and so do you want to explain a little bit more how the GJ is? Because I was showing everybody. And
okay, the GJ, that work is the G. Before she used to be on the G tube, was going directly to the stomach due to some condition attached to spinal muscular atrophy and some other issue. Her stomach doesn't function very good anymore. And due to the hematosis, we have to go with a J tube to his on the small intestine, like Lisa was doing.
Lack of swallowing muscles, that's why we start feeding them.
Yeah, and the clear fluid in the bag there, all that fluid have to be reinfused. We empty out that bag on a small sterile container. We'll put that in the syringe here, and it's going right back to her.
And we reinfuse fluid. So it's our bodily fluids basically going back into her. So this right here, what Hugo... right here is her feeding tube, so this goes into feeding, and this kind of vents, so any extra like gas bubbles, or if instead of like, you know, like any kind of things that she can't really vomit or anything like that, extra fluids that she might lose.
And the reason why we reinfuse it is because your stomach play a big part of your digestive system, and
it has all the nutrients in it.
Potassium, sodium, calcium have to be reinfused, otherwise can handle with other medical issue.
You end up with sodium levels dropping, everything, potassium levels, everything like that. So a lot of medical things can happen without reinfusing the nutrients that you need back in, that your body reinfuses. So this is kind of like reinfusing for her.
And all they have explained that to us at the hospital, when that has been detected on the x-ray, they see that by x-ray looks like little Rice Krispies. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it looks like Rice Krispies going through the intestines.
And you can see clearly.
Pockets.
You can see them. I see them myself on the X-ray, and like the doctor have explained it to us. At that point, is very important to completely stop feeding. And it can be for extended period of times, 10 days and things like that. And everybody knows with children with spinal muscular atrophy, lack of nutriment and everything like that, they can go downhill very quickly. Then what they have done with Enna, we have go through this, I don't know how many cycles, 4 or 5 cycles of it. They need to stop her feeding, and they put her on a solution called TPN. It's a way to feed.
Basically another supplement.
Yeah, it's a nutrition who can have to be by IV, but they need to have a very good vein on it, and it's all by intravenous. But the problem with that is a very high fat solution, so it's extremely hard on the liver
and the kidney
and all that stuff. They need to keep an eye. The blood work have to be on a regular basis, make sure they don't start having liver enzyme, and because the risk of this, obviously, it's liver and kidney failure. Then with this, you have some negligence have happened at the hospital for sure. They was keep going, insert a PIC line, other here, or Yeah,
It
we
was
have some scar somewhere. I don't remember where to use.
Yeah.
It's been a few years, but
actually right here.
and the problem with Enna, we keep asking for IVAD. She have a permanent IV now to underneath her skin, to they can access very quickly if they have to.
It's right
But
here.
they wait so long to doesn't have too many options left for for a good vein to insert that permanent IV.
So what he means by IVAD, this is what he means here. So there's like a access so that we can, it's like, and it feels like you're going through a rubber stopper. And it's kind of, hers is poking out, it's getting big as she gets bigger and ages. And it feels like you're going through a rubber stopper. We do all her blood work through this, is what it's what it is. And then you've got her feeding tube and then venting bag here. So
Then yeah, it's totally guts rest for extended period of times. Follow up with the doctor and X-ray, and when they see those little wrist crispies and the inflammation of the intestine go back normal, they start going back to the feeding. But they don't go back to the feeding 100%. They start by very diluted formula.
And the formula and stuff, actually, I'm going to get into later on. I'm going to show them the new diet for them to study. Like, I'm going to show them Enna's diets and stuff like that. And then, you know, what we switched to from what she was on before.
And I think in my perspective of things, in my opinion, the hospital always wait too late. They like to use wait and see. And wait and see, and these just make me sign. I don't understand.
No, it's a wait and see, and this is exactly, I'm giving Hugo a thumbs up on this because it's a massive discussion in our medical world of families, and I mean medical families. I'm not talking just spinal muscular atrophy, I'm talking families in general.
Yeah, I believe it's every patient
Really
with
important.
special need. They always have tendency to say wait and see, but obviously on Enna's case, it always bring us on the bad side of things. And of course, the risk of wait and see what's happened, you can handle with the perforation in the intestine, and the risk going septic, and the risk of lose the intestine, handle with the colostomy bag, or even the risk of passing away.
And wait and see usually ends up being a situation when a parent is saying, look, my child is sick, my child is not feeling well, something's going on with my child. Well, wait and see what happens. My child is starting to develop a rash that's not normal. You know, these kinds of things need to be more analyzed and be more brought to light. More the education that these community, oh my gosh, community. I think I just saw too many Canadian geese today or something. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm speaking Canadian geese now here, quacking my way through this. So anyways, what was I saying here, Glo? I just really lost that.
They wait and see. They don't ask the parent to what we know our child about.
Yeah, not just about wait and see, but when the symptoms are there and you can see signs and symptoms, unfortunately, hospitals always have the same answer. And it doesn't matter if you're Canadian, American, it doesn't matter where you are. We will wait and see. Nothing's happening, so we'll just wait and see. But symptoms are there, but we're not going to be proactive. We're just going to be reactive when the moment happens, and that's what's harsh. So, and as what Hugo was talking about the bagger, so like when you use high pressure baggers, we don't have a high pressure bagger, but that is what we do use for Enna. We use it for coughing as well. I have a mask there, adult mask. I'm asthmatic, so and we also have another bagger off to the side. So we have two baggers on each side that we use for Enna that we attach to her trach. And during the time of pneumatosis, when you have high pressures like valve baggers, I guess high pressure valve baggers, and higher pressure machines, it can cause, and when you're not feeling well, it can cause more air in the intestine, especially if you've got a stomach that's trying to push up, and you that is like, oh God, my stomach doesn't feel good, and it's trying to push down, and you've got so much going on up and down on that stomach, the bacteria and everything. And
it was a very hard battle, of course. The first surgeon they have bring us was not believing on doing a surgery for Enna due to her condition. And it's a constant battle. The more important things, guys, is
really
don't
educate
those medical staff who do not believe on what you're doing. to affect your emotion and affect what you're doing for your children.
There is a lot.
Do what you believe on, and do not worry about what the other things.
And there's a lot more education today than there was yesterday, from what we were told. Like there's so much more education and so much more things that people are able to do for children with SMA, and there's so many other opportunities. There's so even treatments today, and what else? Like there's just so much more education because the community is so fierce on putting it out there, which is amazing compared to what it was in 2008 for us. So we're really thankful for that. But, here's a little bit more push come to shove of information for you guys. So I'm going to update you on our story a little bit, and then we're going to go from there. It's Lisa from Rageful Peace or Peaceful Rage, or Peaceful Rage, yes. And Hugo is Rageful Peace. So I'm here on the topic because a lot of subjects have been coming up in the SMA world, or community, I should say, about spinal muscular atrophy and some of the medical things that come along with our children. And this can also be a subject that people wouldn't think would be a regular topic, so you come home with a gastrovirus and you're, throwing up your guts and you're puking projectilely everywhere, and you've got you're just from one end to the next, and all of a sudden you get horrible stomach pains. A lot of times people will ignore them. A lot of times they'll go away or subside on their own, but a lot of times they don't. And if they don't, and you don't pay attention to it, or even your child, hey, I'm sick, I'm not feeling good, my stomach hurts, it really hurts, Mom. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, go lay down. But, kind of pay attention to what's going on and make sure nothing else more is going on, because pneumatosis can actually occur in healthy people who just happen to get a gastro or whatnot. Pneumatosis ends up to be all these little Rice Krispie pockets of air that start invading the intestines, small intestines, large intestines, and can rupture the bowels. You can end up losing your large intestine or whatnot, and then having to be fed through your small intestine, which is really scary. This is something that came to light in topic of what we're looking at with Enna. It was 2.5 years we struggled with the pneumatosis. Once it came in, it was like Enna ended up with some sort of virus, and it was like after that virus came in, everything just struggled with this pneumatosis. We could not figure out what was going on. She was doing good, but all of a sudden something else is starting up, and this does happen in a medical world. All of a sudden things will start arising from a whole new hole in the ground, and you finally got settled and everything is good and life is great and grand, and boom, nope, you got a whole new subject coming up. Tell you, it's a whole medical field of knowledge. So pneumatosis, it's like spelling pneumonia, but it's pneumatosis. Air pockets in the intestine can be extremely dangerous. They can be toxic if they rupture, so you can quickly go septic. So Enna did have a small rupture in her bowels at one point, which caused the large incision for the surgery. So she ended up with that surgery. We got it done, and it was chaotic. The whole 2.5 years was so much stress. There was unreal amounts of stress, unlimited amounts of stress that continued every day. It was like, what are we going to do? Constantly putting heating pads on her stomach, constantly massaging her stomach, constantly trying to figure out, is it something in her diet? Is it the water? Is this, there were so many, we were trying to pinpoint everything, but this thing just kept coming back and would not go away. Came to a topic all of a sudden, you're so exhausted, you're constantly running endlessly on nights, you're constantly trying to think what's going on, you're trying to rack your brain, what is happening to my child? Constantly, non-end, endless sleeps, it doesn't stop. So it's very stressful. I remember going into the emergency when finally they're like, oh, we got to rush her in for emergency surgery here. She's got a small perforation in her bowel, which means a small rupture. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I'm worn out at this point. I'm scared. I'm trying to park the van because I'm not supposed to be where I was. And, I had to park it somewhere because we had to rush Enna in. And so then I go to park it and I slightly bump someone's bumper, and I'm going, oh my gosh, and this lady wants to exchange all this stuff, and I'm going, okay, and I'm trying to get it all done quickly, and try to run in because they're going to be running my daughter through to emergency pretty soon. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And so as I'm running in, they're running my daughter, rushing her. I'm rushing up to catch up to my daughter. This lady starts catching up to me from behind and comes and taps me on the shoulder. And she's like, hey, don't worry about my car. You know, don't worry about it. Just, I pray everything goes good for your daughter. So there Anna goes in for this emergency surgery. So we've explained some of her gastros and all that stuff. She went in, she's now GJ fed. So it goes into her small intestine, no longer into her stomach anymore. Reason being is because she needed so much gut rest. She started getting so many issues with her stomach and was not tolerating it from the pneumatosis, the amount of inflammation, the amount of pain she was receiving from it, stomach pain. So when your child says they got a stomach pain, you know, tend to it. Like, you know, give them some chicken noodle soup, put a little warm blanket on their stomach, you know, monitor, make sure nothing is going to be more worse and you're going to end up having a child with an ostomy bag. So do pay attention to these signs as any regular parent. And Enna has a fundo application, so that fundo application prevents her from projectile vomiting or anything like that, or aspirating, or having that risk of aspirating. Pneumatosis, how did we treat it? Well, we tried so many things for 2.5 years. We massaged her, like I said. We ended up realizing, let's revamp her whole diet. I literally even went to, I'm very spiritual, like not very, very spiritual. Not as spiritual as I used to be, but I'm a spiritual believer. So basically I went to a Reiki healer. I was like, I need help. I don't know what to do. I went and I did Reiki. They used my body as a vessel because Enna's in the hospital. So they did the Reiki on me. So we both received this Reiki. They're able to tell me what's going on with her while she's there. And sure enough, it's exactly what was going on. It's really cool. Anyways, Reiki was really cool. It's an option, maybe not for everybody, but something that we did. And we changed her diet. We found out the sugars in the medicines, like lactulose, or things that have laxatives and they have a high sugar tolerance in them. No. So we stopped all that and we started revamping her diet, which I'm going to show you in just a second here on what we did to revamp Enna's diet. Did we switch over to? We switched over to this for Enna. She was on a Vivanex, I guess. A lot of SMA families choose to go Vivanex or whatever. We ended up going with this, which absolutely was a game changer. We took 2 different salts, so no salt, Himalayan salt. We took a clear fiber. We've got high fibers, liquid proteins, and here is Enna's diet. So she is 14 and she's about 62 pounds, I'd say now. But that is what, and here we have a good, and then we give an extra 1100 of milliliters of water. So we also add a no salt to her diet as well. We trying to think, what else do we add to that? So she's got the no salt, and we add a probiotic. So a refrigerated probiotic is what we add to Enna's diet as well. And we make sure that it's at least 120 billion. If you can't, try to get a 60 billion probiotic that's got enough like of the bacteria in it. So there's 120 billion that we use, and it's a refrigerated. So do not buy the ones on the fridge, is what we were told, to make sure to try to get the more equivalents or the more higher balanced refrigerated kind. And then another thing we added in, and we boil all her water. So all her water has to be boiled, even though we have filtered system tap waters here in our home, like we literally have a filtration system in our home, we still boil our water. So that's really important, is boiling the water, or making sure you got like spring water, but get like, you know, it's got to be fresh water. What was the other thing? There was one other thing I wanted to make sure. So definitely take a look at the sugars levels, like anything really high or sticky in sugar, start cutting out of their medicine and stuff like that. So a lot of medicines will be high in sugar, antibiotic, like it's sugar. So definitely start doing that. Check their parathyroid. So start having their parathyroid levels checked. That so thyroid levels, anything but parathyroid, and have their calcium levels checked, sodium levels, anything like that. Heating blankets really help with this. And you can put it on the back, you can put it on the front of the tummy, give them light massages. Don't be like pressing on their stomach or anything like that. It's just going to hurt them. Just rub their like light massages on their stomach and try to make them comfortable. And then it is also, I'm just trying to think about some of the other things that we did for Enna. It was 2.5 years of a lot of stress for us. We had really no one to be there for us. We had no education on pneumatosis with a child who had spinal muscular atrophy, so we had to basically really try to troubleshoot what was going on, work with teams, and try to figure out how do we help Enna on this topic. And it was pure stress. 2.5 years. It was sheer stress. There was no one to really turn to and say, do you know what's going on? Can you help me? Can you try to get me to troubleshoot this? I don't understand what's happening to my daughter. Like, nobody in our community really heard of pneumatosis before. So I was kind of solo on this subject. So now I'm starting to receive more and more people being directed towards my way who are going through this subject and who have faced this situation. I'm going to say it's tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat right now. It's a tough thing, but you really want to get on the ball, changing that diet, making sure that once you start changing that diet, you go really, really slow. So as you gradually start taking the, let's say you're going on TPN, you're going to start gradually coming down. You're going to have to really calculate all the fluids. So everything from the water fluid to the medicine they're intaking to everything, you've got to calculate it all. So we make sure that Enna gets the equivalent as to what I showed on the piece of paper. I know it's not the best looking piece of paper, best writing, and I'm not the most professional person yet here in life, but I was trying to get things organized before I had a brain bleed and kind of just trying to pick myself up since then. I literally relapse into a lot of moments and I struggle a lot with my own depression. So it did take me some time to get back onto doing another vlog and say a topic that can relate to our family. And then the topic of pneumatosis started coming up around all other families. And I don't know, I started getting more and more messages about this topic, and I decided to bring this out and say that you're not alone on this topic as a spinal muscular atrophy mother or another medical mother who's going through this diagnosis for your child. It is super scary because that bowel ruptures. Those are toxins going into your child's body or to your body, and that can be really serious. You go septic, which means the toxins are poisoning your body and it's causing an infection, and you're just in a very critical situation at that point. So those are what you do want to avoid. I'm not trying to scare everybody, but I'm saying, you know, if your child's saying my stomach hurts and it really hurts and they're crying and, you know, doubled over, really kind of give them some rest. Give them gut rest, liquids. Don't force like milk down their throat or anything like that. Try to give them clear liquids, water. Let them just have gut rest till they can get over the virus, things like that. Really important to pay attention to those things. So we revamped Enna's diet, and it took a lot of teams. It took the home nutrition. It took a lot of people to try to revamp this. It took doctors. It was stressing everybody out. Like, everybody was literally at their wits and like, this is going to be our last option, or we have to do this big, large removal of her intestine. And it was seriously hard on everybody, considering that she's been with the hospital for many years, and to say that we have to go through this now after everything we achieved was really hard on not just myself, but the physicians, nurses. It was a real big struggle. So I do know where parents are coming from. I know how hard it is to watch your child in that much pain and be like, what do I do and how do I stop it now and how do I get control of this? And I've been able to control everything so far, and all of a sudden this hits me. And that's completely new. And when it hits you, it really hits you from a sideline. It totally takes you over, blows you down. And so anyways, definitely look at the diet that you have for your child. Gut rest is hugely important. So gut rest for your child. Make sure you're putting them on like a fluid of hydration. Make sure they're getting an adequate amount of hydration. Start getting them on a type of refrigerated probiotic. Refrigerated probiotic, please. That's what I'm saying. At least 1 to 2 capsules a day to what they tolerate. We started adding a liquid protein into Enna's diet, but that comes in time. So when you start your child's diet, and I'm sorry I jumped from place to place. Since I've had my brain bleed, I have relapses, so I'll be talking about something and my topics just kind of be forgetful on what I was saying. And I was like, okay, I gotta start where, try to rumble on what I remember I was talking about at some rate. So Enna's diets we changed, and as you change them, you do everything gradually. So you'll switch to the formula, the water, all that stuff, start adding on and what's important. But when you start, you got to start like, make sure you calculate all the water, and okay, don't start like 60 mils off the bat, start like 5 mils off the bat, take 5 mils off of the TPN or whatever. Make sure we're going down the right way. Make sure all the pumps are calculated properly. Because actually Hugo, whenever he looks at all the calculations on the fluid, every single time we go into hospital, that is one of the biggest problems we've always had, is she never gets enough fluids, or they're pumping way too much fluid into her, and nobody calculates it equivalently. You need to calculate everything. So you really got to pay attention to all the calculations, what's going on, what's going in, what's going out, secretions going out, all that stuff is fluid. So everything you're suctioning out of your child, that's a fluid. Everything that we are, we spit out, we cough out, whatever, it's a fluid. We got to put it back into our bodies, guys. So make sure the fluids are really important. So have everything checked, check for kidney stones, check for all that stuff. Make sure you haven't gotten to that point in time. It's definitely strenuous. I know I'm not the best speaker for all of this. The only thing I can really do is, wish you guys the best of luck and let people know that I am here. This video is somewhat here, and I hope it can be somewhat supportive to what we kind of faced a little bit. It was definitely 2 years of a big struggle for our family. It was, I can't even... The 2.5 years of that stress, it was ugly. It was ugly. It was absolutely ugly. There's no way to describe it. It was just ugly. It was hard. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So definitely try to take into consideration what I say. We have about, I guess Alpha's letting himself in here. We have, my suggestion then is basically changing your child's diet from the Vivanex. Just get rid of it. It's an older formula anyway. Pioneered used. I'm not saying that it doesn't do any justice, because there's a lot of people that are on it and I'm just finding that now it's like more questions about it, because it seems like everybody I talk to, is your child on Vivanex? Yes, it is. So I don't know. It just seems like the weaker type 1s don't tolerate the Vivanex very well for some reason. So I would say weaker type 1s for sure, in my opinion, get them off of it. I don't know why they don't seem to tolerate it. I don't know. It just seems to be a thing that's becoming more common. So pneumatosis. And it's scary. So guys, heating pad, make your child comfortable. Get off the red sugar Tylenols. Try to get dye-free, sugar-free Tylenols, Advil, that kind of stuff. hospitals will have full, the Pedialyte will be there versus Hydrolyte, and Hydrolyte has less sugar again. And I would say it's more my preference. And so when you're starting to do gut rest, that's what I prefer to use. And it's what works for Enna. So I'm not going to tell everybody this is what you have to do. This is what worked for our daughter, is my suggestion. Make sure you're boiling your water, bottled or spring water. I know bottled water is not always the best, but it wasn't working for her. The bacteria in our water can be bad sometimes, so even if it's tap water. So we boil it if we need to. And we put in 2 different salts, a Himalayan salt, salt-free. We really revamped to what would work. Really had to work hard with our dietitians. So I really, like, my dietitian really, 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 really invested her time and energy and education into this. She really pushed herself to say, we're figuring this diet out. And she did. Like, I mean, she was absolutely phenomenal. And that was on the 4th floor. She was, she got it. So it's been about 10 to 12 years now since Enna has done that. I did do a Reiki treatment for her, so I will share that story a little bit. I got to a point where I was so stressed I didn't know what to do anymore. Kept going by the spiritual store, kept going by it, and on the way to the hospital. Finally, I went in there and I said, do you guys do Reiki? And can you do it for my daughter somehow? So yes, we can use your vessel, your body, right? So they did. And I have a story about that because there's a couple times I went and we're sitting there. Finally, I go and I do this, and then she's telling me all these things, and I go to the hospital. Sure enough, it's happening. Weird. Okay. Go again, and all of a sudden they're telling me, she's complaining about her eye. There's something covering her eye. And when I came home, I was telling everybody about my story that, and I was saying what hurt, and and it was weird because it related to old injuries that she had and whatnot. And I was going on, like, and I was complaining constantly, apparently, about her eye being covered up, and and something going on with her eye, and she wanted somebody to fix it. And they showed me a picture that they were actually working with Enna on her old eye gaze at the time, taking a red chip and green chip and putting them on her eyes during my session. So the Reiki, I tell you, for myself, I'm a spiritual type of believer, so I do believe in the energy of healing. And that was one of the things that I directed to, was the energy healing, as well as changing that diet. It was really important. The gut rest, important. So do not start her up or start him back up, him or her, on a feed right away. Please make sure that you check, like, the diet. Look through it with your doctor. And I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but it was what I believe was our turning point. And any other suggestions or tips I can give? For other family members and friends, truly be supportive. It is seriously, it's so hard to go through to, like, know that something like this is happening to your child and you cannot distinguish why or what is causing this to happen to your child. So from what I was told, it's a bunch of parasites or bacteria that our body naturally carries. And when you get sick, they kind of, parts of our guts will slow down and things like that. And these bacteria and parasites will start sitting and resting somewhere and basically building up like a bacteria type of thing, and all these, causing inflammation and air pockets and all this stuff, and then gastro and all that stuff. So this is basically what it is. So that's why it's really important to get something like a probiotic, like a yogurt or something, into our bodies all the time. This is really why it's important for that kind of stuff, to keep those natural bacteria to keep flowing and going, and keep the water going. And clear fiber, super important. Otherwise, if you don't get something that dissolves very clear into the cup or something like that, I'm telling you, it's going to be, it's hell to get out of the G tube. It blocks it, everything. So it's just a mess. find something that's clear that you can just dissolve super quick and be done. And then we used to use liquid high fiber, which is amazing for our children. You can get it mostly in the States. Apparently Canada started not receiving it due to labels and other issues, I guess. And now we're starting to get it back into Canada, but there's issues on trying to get it when you've got it. It's hard. It's a complicated thing. I'm gonna tune out now. I hope this helps some parents and stuff like that. I wish I could be more right on the ball. Today I've been the past week I've been struggling with my own boundaries of depressions and things like that. So I'm doing my best to explain this and trying to get this out there for parents so that they can have something to relate to, or a little, at least a little advice that they can relate to and say, look, I'm not the only parent with pneumatosis, or I've had to face pneumatosis with my child. So, you're not. And I felt like I was alone, and it sucks. So hopefully it helped you guys. And anyways, one step at a time. Tora, look at you. Hi. You're a pretty sleepy lumberjack. You're a pretty sleepy lumberjack. I know. I know, winter, hey? I know. Winter's bad.
What's wrong with that tail? Huh? What's wrong with that tail?
Winter is bad, hey? It's too cold. It's too cold. So guys, I just want to say thank you for following with us, and thank you to the new subscribers. Today I was just a little bit off again. I've had anxiety, so again, this comes through the whole PTSD, complex PTSD and all that stuff. So thank you. I hope that this can help some SMA families at least understand some things. And Enna says thank you. And I know it's dark. We just didn't put our lighting on, guys. So thank you. Give thumbs up, Enna. Whoops, sorry. There she goes. She's giving a wave. And give thumbs up. Oh, she put her hand down herself. Look at that. Oh my gosh, guys. That's awesome. All right. Thank you for following with us, and be patient with us. Thank you.